Gabriel BG here with another tutorial this week. As always, if you find this video of benefit or value to you, please like, share, or subscribe. You could also connect with me to social media sites in the links below, or check out the music at gabrielbgmusic.com or on this YouTube channel. Going right into this week's topic, we're going to be talking about the balance of negative and positive emotions. When we think of emotions and we think of positive, we think of happy, we think of joy, we think of gratitude, laughter. These are all great positive emotions, but we as humans want to avoid the so-called lower energy emotions, or what we like to call negative emotions, such as anger, sadness, depression, and suffering. What's real important to know is you have to have some sort of release. So if you're constantly positive all the time, it's going to be like an atom bomb. It's going to eventually explode. So although we do experience positive feelings quite regularly, we have to understand that when there's a negative emotion that occurs, we're going to want to just kind of put it in a different category. Let's build a brick wall around it, and let's pretend it doesn't exist. So what's really important to know is that lower energy emotions are typically linked to denial and really avoidance are the main things that will happen with a lower energy emotion. But it's important to understand that in order to have balance, positive and negative, we have to experience those emotions fully. It's not only natural, but it's healthy to face them. So we can't just think that everything's going to be positive all the time. We actually have to focus in processing these lower energy emotions, and they tell us so much. The lower level emotions teach us so much about our shadow self, our inner child, our divine self. It teaches us healthy boundaries. It teaches us how to communicate. It teaches us how to not be judgmental. So what's real important is when a lower level emotion is felt, it's very important to understand why. Why are you feeling that way? So if you feel like somebody's really projecting a lot of sadness onto you, or they're saying something that's making you feel insecure, it benefits you to process that emotion. Look into that insecurity. Really, go into a meditation and mentally picture the absolute worst case scenario. Really face your fears. Really face your demons and understand exactly what it is that's making you tick, or therefore lack of tick, or something that could potentially make you a ticking time bomb. So if you experience a lower level emotion, if somebody's yelling at you or something like that, obviously many times some people are just by nature not great at communicating. So if somebody calls you an asshole, ask yourself, what am I doing? So you're experiencing an emotion like, whoa, excuse me, you can't call me an asshole. Obviously we have these response actions that we're going to take in those type of situations. But think of how much more challenging it is to say, oh wow, I feel a little hurt by this. All right, so then you actually think, well, how can I learn from this lower level energy emotion? Because we just tend to want to avoid them. You say, what is it about myself that was happening for this person to feel so strongly to project such an image of me in such a negative light? So rather than avoiding and running away from our lower level energies, we should really truly feel them and experience them. And some people may think, oh, anger is a bad thing. Well, channeled anger during a meditation is a wonderful thing. It's the best way to burn all of these other emotions that you may be feeling: regret, remorse, and the big one, suffering. How many of us like to play the martyr and think that we love somebody by making sacrifices that are really just draining into your inner being as who you are as a person? We'll talk about relationships in another video. So really what we're trying to hammer home here is that when you have a lower level energy, to not avoid it, to really understand that you need to, in order to grow, you need to experience these lower level emotions, because those are areas of your life that are deficient. Whether it was growing up as a child, we were in a very abusive household, and we're very we're abandoned. We just feel these. Our subconscious is going to link up to these subconscious ideals of as soon as something threatens our little protective bubble, we're going to feel something, and automatically we might respond in a way to try to protect ourselves. But a lot of times avoiding or really denying a certain emotion is our ego's way of trying to protect the ego self from itself. So it's very important to realize that, these are things that are natural and healthy. We shouldn't avoid them. And really what it comes down to is finding a meditative or whatever artistic process for yourself that you're going to be able to really express this emotion, and so that you can actually work past it. And sometimes it could be something as creative as going to the actual worst case scenario you can think of in your head. Because most of the times when you actually visit there, you start uncovering other things that were there that you didn't even know were there. So dealing with these lower level energies and emotions, fully experience them, fully experience that sadness, instead of just running away because I don't want to cry, it's going to be too hard and heavy for me because this is a sad situation. No, go there, face your fears, and actually experience all these emotions that you're afraid to feel. I would definitely recommend doing, if you're somebody who's never done this before, baby steps. Think of something small and try to tackle that. But that's basically the gist of this week's video, is that you can't be positive all the time. You can't just expect that you're going to feel laughter, joy, and gratitude. Those are great feelings to have, and we're also going to be talking about transmutation in another video, and which is really taking the reciprocal feeling of an emotion and then transferring it and basically processing it into a more positive emotion. So you feel suffering, you literally going to transform that and turn it into gratitude or faith or something of that nature. But basically that involves a lot of feelings that are perceived as being lower level, like anger, because you literally take the anger that you're feeling and you have something that an easy emotion that's easy to trigger, something of anger or sadness or suffering, something that we all are always avoiding, and once we feel it, it really saturates us. But those feelings sometimes are kind of the pilot burner that'll help melt all these other emotions and release them from you, because it's really essentially blocking that funnel of the way that your emotions actually process through your body. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video. As always, share, like, or subscribe, and I will see you next week.